Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor as we preview the Guineas Festival from Newmarket. As well as that, we're also going to have some further bet boosts for you towards the end of the show. And I'm being joined, as ever, by Declan Ricks and Sam Boswell. Guys, you've had a cracking time of things with the anti-post plays. Dec, you managed to beat Galapan. Very well done.
Yeah, I did. To be fair to the Martin Brazil team, they produced him in great order. He carried JJ Slevin around there for fun, didn't he? And he jumped well, and that little bit of better ground and punches down clearly suits him. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, exactly. That has become his race now, hasn't it? And then, Sam, not to be outdone, Dancing City for yourself. So, again, very well done.
Yeah, slightly shorter price. Like I say, last week we were looking a bit thin in the ground for results, and then, thankfully, Punches Down came through and saved our bacon. But, yeah, no, really nice horse, and I think very impressive considering how often he's run for Willie Mullins this season. And at that level as well, I think he's going to be a serious novice chaser to reckon with. But let's get on with the flat, shall we, Kate? It's flat week.
Oh, yeah.
I know, at least you both signed off then with some really good results for the jumps. Hopefully that form will translate to the flat this time as well. But before we get into the action, a reminder, as ever, to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will also do our best to point you in the right direction all the same. Right, as I said, we're going to begin at Newmarket, and we're beginning with the Suffolk Stakes. Nice, easy one to open us up with. A heritage handicap here, 3-year-olds and over 9 furlongs, 9-2 the field, Dex. So I'll just let you take it away.
Yeah, a competitive race to kick off with here. And do you know what? I think actually for the money, it's probably not the deepest race. So, you know, usually these kind of handicaps, you'd be looking for those young, really unexposed sorts, wouldn't you? But there's a 6-year-old in here called Majestic, not even on the screen there, that I think is the bet in the race. A horse who's got plenty of course form at Newmarket, which is always a help. Obviously won the Cambridgeshire. And I just thought he was overpriced, especially in comparison to the likes of Dutch Decoy and other horses in the race on their Newmarket run. I think the step back up slightly up in triple suit him up to 9 furlongs, and the yard of Jack Channon are going really well at the moment. You know, I think Majestic, he's been to Newmarket 4 times, I think, and he's got course figures of 1,945, so he really does go well. As I said, overpriced in comparison to Dutch Decoy and Theory of Everything, and he's the one who's overpriced for me. This is him at the Racing League earlier in the season or last season, should I say, at Chepstow, but Newmarket is definitely more his track.
Yes, but good old Racing League form. We always like that coming to the fore there. So a nice price in the bar is Dec already, Sam, then to kick us off with. But who do you like?
Yeah, Theory of Everything Dec gave a mention to, and that was actually my tentative selection in what I agree is a competitive race. I think there's plenty to like about the profile of this horse, and it was 4th last time out at Newmarket, and we go back through the years and there's some interesting bits and pieces. He was a winner on debut for the Gosdens when he started out life for those at Doncaster, and then ran 3rd in the green and behind the likes of Isaac Shelby here and Charin, and that was probably the highlight really, because the wheels sort of came off after this run when he was with the Gosdens and signed off with an OK effort at Ponty. Since joining David O'Mara, he's been gelded, and the 4th last time out at Newmarket I thought was a real step in the right direction. I'd say this kind of mark of, I think, 93 is going to be where he's going to be at. I don't necessarily think he's very well handicapped, but I thought the 4th was fair, and I think he'll take a step forward. Really interesting. William Buick booked to ride. Always curious, William where he takes an outside ride. I always like to see that. He's ridden the horse previously as well, so I thought it was a good jockey booking. Yard ticking over okay. Wouldn't mind seeing strike rate being a little bit higher, but Theory of Everything for me was a tentative play in a tricky race.
13-2 though, nice way to play, like you say, a very tricky race. Now, this is one where he's actually been clipped in. It is Bo Pedro in here, who's now an 11-1 shot. You could get bigger when Dex first came out, but Bo Pedro, though, really likeable horse, and I just think he's overpriced, where Torito could well be the proverbial group horse in a handicap, but he's just a bit too short for me in comparison to this lad's chances, where a horse that loves the Newmarket track, because, of course, he's both the Rolling Mile and the July course. He's already won at Newmarket to go the 3rd in the Cambridgeshire last season. Ran a great race, as we're seeing in Vision here, when he finished 4th in the Balmoral handicap. Over a mile at Ascot last season. Yet another creditable effort from him. Off a £2 higher mark than he's running off of here in just top 1 mile handicaps that seemed to such a solid effect. And he was much better last time out than it initially looks. I know it'll go down as he finished 8th, but he was only beaten 2.5 lengths there in the race that he won last year. So back up 1 furlong to the 9 in this one, same mark. I thought he was overpriced. A few people clearly agreed with me because he's being clipped in, but Bo Pedro for the each way.
Who rides him? Is it Daddy Tudhope?
Yes, yeah.
So do you think Danny would have had the choice between him and Theory of Everything?
Ooh,
which I thought was interesting.
Tee it up, yes.
Cheers, Dec. Thanks for trying to make...
I'm just asking the question, that's all.
You asked the question. I'll stick with William Buick as an able deputy for Theory of Everything.
But a very good point and very well made there by Dec. He's put it out there now and Sam bit, so nice to see that. But I want the each way because Teresa, as I say, could be anything and could well blast these horses. But a really intriguing opener for us to kick off with then with the Suffolk Stakes. Now we're going to move on to the 255. This is the Group 3 Palace House Stakes for the 3-year-olds and over 5 furlongs here. Now, Beautiful Diamond, the 3-year-old, heads to market at 3-1. But of course, we've got last year's winner in here, the Dream. She'll love all the rain that's come down over the last few hours there, Sam. But is it going to be soft enough for her, or where are we looking?
Yeah, I sort of shared your opinion started the race by looking at last year's winner. But at the moment, it feels like, and Dec, you're our resident weatherman, Newmarket should miss the... I don't think it's going to get soft enough personally for the Dream to be a play in this year's renewal. But my attention really did fall on Beautiful Diamond. I think it's really curious that Carl Burke runs this horse here. She's obviously a 3-year-old, and we're going to watch back her run in the Queen Mary. This is just her second start. This came, I think, 2 weeks after winning at Nottingham. And there were some interesting comments. She's definitely the right side here. The pace was there. But I just love her attitude. I think she's a really tough thing. And they've sort of suggested that she's going to do plenty of growing. And I think this is a really curious starting point. I went back through the last few renewals, not had a 3-year-old run in this. So it's a brave call. But Carl Burke clearly knows the time of day, and he's having a good time of things at the moment, 25% strike rate. Like I say, I expect with all the weight allowance she's going to get here, I think she's going to go very, very close. Back down in trip, I think, is the key as well. Don't think she wanted 6 last year. Maybe she will later on this year if she ages a bit, but I think back down in trip, she's a cracking price, and I think a very, really interesting and really bold bit of placement to start her off this year.
It is, isn't it? Like you say, she's going to think she's loose then with the weight concessions that she's getting from her older male rivals in here as well. But Beautiful Diamond it is then for Sam Dec, 3-1. Who did you like? I'm
going to double down with Beautiful Diamond. I'm with her as well. I do get what Sam is saying about the 3-year-old. I think the last 3-year-old winner of this race was 2009. So you've got to go way back. But what I would say is, European sprinting is probably not in a great place at the moment. And a filly like this getting the sex allowance and the age allowance from a top team, you've got to respect her. She's really interesting because she's got, as you can see there on the picture, she's got plenty of size and substance to her, but she's by Twilight Sun out of a Lethal Force mare, and that just suggests to me, both on physically and pedigree, she should be even better this year. Now, she was an expensive breeze-up purchase. I think she made 360,000 guineas, and at the time I was going, she must have a lot of natural ability. She can clearly run if she's making that price that early, because I was surprised, given her pedigree, that she was that kind of good early. So in some ways it's a little bit of a worry that she's kind of going against her pedigree, that she was that good. But on pedigree and on size, I think she's going to be even better this year. The draw in 1 could have been better, but it's a small field, and T-Spirit, I think, is going to be the pace in the race. He is drawn in 5, so hopefully the draw won't be too much of a negative. If she's in good order, I think she'll go very close for a top team.
Yeah, I was concerned about the draw for her. Like, say, for this start in this kind of a grade, then this time of the season for her, I thought that was a bit of an aspect. You'd say about T-Spirit, he just got the one way of going about things. That's how he won last time out over this course and distance, wasn't it? Just blast from the front, so he'll give everything something to aim at. And I'm pleased that we've got T-Spirit in here, because I didn't see much else pace, even though we've got this 5 furlong sprint. He's basically it, and you've just got a whole host of hold-up performers.
He'll be dangerous if he gets loose on the lead. He's a big enough price at 14s, I thought.
Oh, definitely, when I think that he is the only real pace in here. And this race tends to go to prominent races as well, so that is going to be, I know, I'm almost half tempting myself now just to have that little bit of a saver. Probably win only if he is just able to hold on. But Mit Bahi, I thought, was the standout in this one. Earlier on in the week, when I was looking at this this race and I saw the forecast, I wanted to be with last year's winner, The Dream. But from hearing the comments from the clerk of the course, and we know how well Newmarket dries up, I just fear it might be that bit too dry for her. So Mitbahi, who's done the interesting stable switcheroo. Of course, he previously was with Roger Varian, now with Charlie Hills. But that was a solid stable debut on the back of a 256-day absence last time out when he was fourth in the Group 3 Abaddon Stakes, doing best of those from off of the pace. I hope that that doesn't count against him here. As I say, it tends to go to prominent races, but he has got back class. And we're looking at his penultimate start here, his final outing of last year, when he won at Chester in listed company, and he just bounced back to form with a bang in this, proving just as effective over 6 furlongs as he is over 5, also ground versatile as well. So he's just all-round, really likeable horse, and I thought that he set a standard.
And you love Mitbahi. You've definitely put him up a couple of times on the show last season, if I remember. It's interesting you say about the trainer switch, Kay. I think that's a big positive. Now, look, Roger Varian is a very good trainer, but Sprinters is maybe not an Achilles heel, but we saw what St. Lawrence did when he was switched from Roger Varian's to who was it? Charlie Watson? Not Charlie Watson. His name was Archie Watson. There we go. We got there eventually, and he done very well at winning the Wokingham at Royal Ascot. And Charlie Hills is a brilliant trainer of sprinters. He was high up on my list as well. But myself and Sam are taking you on Beautiful Diamond. Yes,
but like I say, he's definitely with the yard now for sprinters, one of the best sprinters in recent memory. Then, of course, trained by Charlie Hills as well. So hopefully Mitbahi will be able to do the job at 16-5 and take on your 3-1 shot with Beautiful Diamond. Right, they were the sprinters. Now, before we show you our next race, a reminder to like and subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel, and also hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode. Right, we are on to the big one itself now at 3:35. The Group 1 2,000 guineas for the 3-year-olds over a mile. Now, City of Troy, the 4-7 favourite in here to give Aidan O'Brien an 11th 2,000 guineas success. He hasn't won it since 2019 though, Dex. So is City of Troy going to do the job here?
Well, look, I'm not going to back him at that price. I'm more than happy to take him on, but you know, as I say in this game, you cannot have enough superstars, and he definitely had that potential last year. He was incredible in the Dewhurst. He's just like, he's got it all really. He's got that high cruising speed. I love the way he moves. I love how he carries himself. He's not overly big. He's obviously well bred, but just he does so much damage in the last furlong of his races. So if my bet doesn't go in, which is going to be Hatem, which is another horse who's not even on the graphic there, I hope this guy goes up and bolts up, because he can never have enough superstars. But look, I'm going to take him on at the price. Rosalian's going to run over a mile for the first time. He's by Blue Point. I think Blue Point, he's obviously incredibly young stallion. I don't think he's only had one winner over a mile so far in his young career. Notable Speech hasn't even run on the turf yet either. As Night Raider, Ghost Rider, I have a lot of respect for Alan Abbey. But Hatem, on the back of what has been a miserable winter and spring, he has shown his hand, and he's shown he's already an improved horse. Now, this was him running in the Coventry Stakes last year, but he's a much better horse now, especially up over a mile. He's by Phoenix of Spain, another horse who's having his first 3-year-olds this year, and I think his progeny are going to get better as well. But look at the size of him there. Plenty of size, of substance to him. He got bigger and stronger again over the winter into the spring, and he's just a lovely, uncomplicated horse who's unexposed over a mile from a top team. I just think that there's question marks to so many in the front of the market. With this guy showing his hand and showing he's in good order, I think he is a big price to run into the frame. Now I'm not saying he's going to win the Guineas, but if City of Troy hasn't trained on or whatever, has an off day, you know, this is horse racing, anything can happen. This guy is a wonderfully uncomplicated horse with a good attitude who could at least hit the frame.
He's so likeable, isn't he? He's experienced. He probably didn't get the credit for his reappearance success last time out either. And he's got that fitness on his side as well. I know, I think he did us a few turns in terms of an each way opportunity, at least anyway, last year. So again, you're in the bar. You, Hatem and Majestic all in the bar then is Dex. So Dex taking on City of Troy, betting wise, Sam, where were you looking?
Oh, I thought Dex was starting to make a really good case for the favourite. Because let's be honest, OK, take the price out of it. If you knew this horse had trained on, he'd be a significantly short. That is literally the only question mark, and you've got to decide. That's kind of your angle, if you like, is if you want to take him on, Deck obviously has got an each-way play, potentially without the favourite, if he doesn't want to have to answer that question, because I'll answer it for him. I think City of Troy will put down a real marker. I thought that Dewhurst effort at the back end of last year was just so spectacularly good in conditions that the trainer felt weren't going to suit. It means that we don't have to have too much concern about if there was some sort of more unscheduled rain in the ground east. But I'd say if we end up on good ground, it's going to be absolutely perfect to see a monster effort. I appreciate people always want to compare and find 2,000 Guineas winners that are going to live up to the likes of Frankel. I'm not trying to put any horse in a category like that before he's gone and done something significantly better than he's achieved so far. But if we're going to have a superstar, you've got 4 unbeaten horses in here. He's the only one that's got the form that also warrants that kind of tag. His price is short. I appreciate that. And, you know, it won't be necessary for everyone. But if you like him and you don't want to play at that price, just watch and enjoy it, because I think he could potentially be that real superstar we're looking for. And the flat game could probably do with it, if we're being honest. And then all roads potentially could lead to some really interesting stories throughout the season. But I respect him. Deck, I like your selection as well, and I think he obviously bolsters the form of City of Troy.
It's a big race in terms of young stallions here. You've obviously got Justify, City of Troy, Rosalie is Blue Point. I think there's Alan Abbey is too darn hot as well, and then you've got Task Force, who is by Frankel out of a Guineas winner as well. It's a proper good race. Really looking forward to it.
Oh, I think this is a class renewal of the 2,000 Guineas. Not even just like say between the top 2 in here, but when you're getting these prices about really well bred, really smart types, even taking away the top 2, I think it's a 2,000 Guineas with a lot of depth to it. For all that I'm also a City of Troy, though, Sam, you've just said it, everything there, what I think about this horse. So I just think he is the new superstar on the block. I'll be so disappointed if he isn't. But everything we saw of him last year, the form has been boosted, as you've both said there subsequently, that superlative form from his penultimate start, where, of course, he boosted it by winning the Dewhurst himself. Hartem, who we've just been talking about winning a Group 2, already winning the Craven this year. Odyssey, he won a local Group 2 in Doha. Great Truth won in Medan. And even the last horse that day won a novice on his next start. So the form speaks volumes. He's been doing it in a hat canter. He's so versatile. He's so straightforward. It is just that question whether or not he's trained on. But I don't think that's a bad price.
Fair enough, yeah, I agree. What I love about him as well is I remember Ryan Morse the day he won at the Curragh. There's quite a long pull-up area at the Curragh there, and Ryan said he said it's the only time I've been worried about never being able to pull up a horse at the end of the Curragh. Like, you know, as I said, I'm against him in terms of betting, but in terms of kind of, you know, bringing the game to a larger audience and maybe getting in new fans, I'd love to see him going bolt up.
I would. And we're so used to the hyperbole, aren't we, every single year from this yard? Understandably so. They're a business at the end of the day. But for this one, I believe that the hype is really, really real then with him. The horse that doesn't get tired. So hopefully then City of Troy will prove himself. But I'm also going to have a little bit on Ghostwriter for the each way play in here as well. A horse that, again, at 14-1, I can't leave behind, who is a really likeable type. And, of course, Clive Cox has been speaking glowingly about him. And he's just ticking a whole load of boxes in terms of trip, course form, and so many other ways to go then for this race. So 14-1 for him each way. City of Troy, my main play. Sam?
City of Troy, but I'm also going to back him probably in the length of the odds market. I think if he's going to really do what we all expect, I think I'd want to take at least a length or more win. I really, really am excited about this horse.
Yeah, ditto. And Deck?
Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a swing here with good old professional Hartem.
He is, and ever the professional then, Hartem in here, who's probably in the price he is, because we've got this potential superstar then in the 2,000 Guineas. Cannot wait for that one. Do let us know in the comment section below who you fancy for the 2,000 Guineas. But that's everything from us in this section of the show. We're going to head over to the soft set to give you our best bets for the weekend. Now, before we get into our second classic of the season, we do just have the small matter of the 150th edition of the Run for the Roses, the Kentucky Derby, of course, live on Sky Sports Racing. Now, this may not be everyone's bag, or it might just be the one time, Sam, that people tune in to American action out of the entire year. But, I mean, it's always a cracking race.
It's a bucket list thing for me personally. I wouldn't be a big American racing expert. I would not profess to having too much knowledge, but I've caught up a few clips here, and there's just some really interesting runners in the likes of Forever Young, obviously arriving here with a Japanese background to the race, and you've got co-favourites in here as well. I know you're keen on one of them, so I'll let you talk about that. But from a betting perspective, we're offering 4 places on the race. Obviously, there's the At The Races site to go and delve through the form if you want to do that. And if you just want to watch it and have a bit of interest, we've got our Lucky Dip feature on the race where you'll just get a random horse allocated at 17 to 1. But yeah, I'll be tuning in for it. Like I say, it's definitely on my racing bucket list, but I'm keen to know who you fancy in it, Kate.
Yeah, because, I mean, also, why are you not a stateside fan then? Why are you not tuning in regularly, by the way? This is more to the point. But, of course, I cover US action all year round now, and I cannot wait for this. A full field of horses, and one of our reserves getting in with the non, of course, in here as well. 3 to 1 joint favourites, Sierra Leone and Fierceness. Now, this race is fascinating because Fierceness, he is almost the American version of Auguste Rodin. When he's good, he is unbeatable, but he can really fluff his lines. And if something doesn't go his way, then he's a very difficult horse then to win with. So instead, I'm going to side with Sierra Leone, who perhaps on innate ability, he might not be quite as good as Fierceness, but he is a very straightforward horse. Now, we're seeing him in this clip winning the Bluegrass. Now, in this, we also had Just a Touch, Epic Ride in this race as well. This was a grade 1, and just look at the way this monster closes. And this is very different to what we expect from dirt racing. We tend to think of this discipline to going to front runners, horses that can just see it out as longest as they possibly can. But this also, the headgear fitted, has just been a revelation. He should really be unbeaten, but he got distracted when he's only lost in the Ramsden. You can easily forgive that. There's loads of pace on in the Kentucky Derby this year. So for all that his draw is tricky in 2, he still should be able to overcome it because he's a horse that gets dropped out anyway, and he's got the pace to aim at in here. So hopefully he'll be able to overcome any potential adversity. And if Fierceness gets roughed up on the first bend, we've seen him shirk the issue before. That's my fear for him, and he has probably got a worse draw than Sierra Leone all the same.
Speaking of fear, Kate, Frankie Dettori, we've seen what he's been doing to good effect in America. Should I, as a bookmaker, be worried that we've got him in here at 25 to 1? Is the draw going to kill his chances?
I wouldn't expect Frankie Dettori to be winning the Kentucky Derby with this horse. He's just a solid horse, and it's great to see him pick up a ride, but it's very much an outsider chance. Ben Curtis, of course, formerly of these shores, is the one who I think on Honor Marie, who has the, who's not even on our betting there. He's a big price, about 22 to 1 or so. He's the one who I think for the each way play is probably the one to be keeping on side. And probably I would use him in the, we talk about exotic bets a lot stateside. He'd be the one that I'd be using under Sierra Leone in the hope that Fierceness has one of his off days, and Honor Marie might just be able to round out the exacta for Ben Curtis at a big price. But that was a look ahead then to the Kentucky Derby. Hopefully you will be enjoying it with us on Sky Sports Racing. But we better get back to Newmarket and with the other classic, of course, this weekend, the 1,000 Guineas, the fillies taking up this engagement. Now, of course, we are recording this before we have declarations, so we don't know the final makeup of the field. We also don't know the draw then in here either, but again, fascinating race here, and more open than the 2,000 Guineas.
Yeah, definitely. On betting, it's definitely more open. Yeah, as you say, don't have the final fields, don't have the draw, don't have the pace, so it's not going to be easy. But, you know, I think Fallen Angels probably the horse to beat, as the graphic says there. Ylang did win over this course and distance last year when she won the Fillies Mile. But, you know, despite winning that day, I didn't think she really acted on the track. So it'll be interesting to see how she goes now as a bigger and older filly. But I think the real key with this race is I generally like a filly to have a run here. And I just wonder, could that be even more key this year with these fillies after a really wet and miserable winter and spring as well? And I just thought El Malcal could go well for the Roger Varian team. Now, she was a big eye catcher in the Fred Darling. She was, Holly Doyle really stitched her up here on the eventual winner, kept in James Doyle at a really important juncture in the race, and then she had to switch off heels. But I wanted to take her on in the race this day because she'd only had one run at Southwell in a race that was run at a crawl, and I didn't think she'd be streetwise enough for that. All this here racing among horses, you know, right up the backside of other horses, having little room in different places, I think she'll really have learned here. And I had her run into 103, and any horse running to 103 on just her second start, you know, is a good filly. Now, factor in that she's by Kingman, she's out of Narrane, she's got a wonderful, wonderful pedigree, trained by Roger Varian, local track. I think stepping up to a mile will definitely suit as well. And I just thought that a filly with a run under her belt at a big price, who's unexposed, could go well.
I have to have the each-way saver on her because I was with her quite strongly in the Fred Darling and I was just gutting, and of course then put her up as an eye-catcher on last week's show as well for all of the reasons you just said. And of course she's a half-sister to Ben Battle as well. So yeah, and the way that she's hit the line at Newbury there, as we were just saying, the step-up in trip should really see her to a better effect as well. So I'm going to have to go each way on El Malka, but my best bet though for it, and the horse I'm expecting to win, is going to be Fallen Angel in here for the Carl Burke Yard, who just cannot do anything wrong at present. So yeah, I'm going to have to stick with her. I think she's very much the one to beat. Daughter of Too Darn Hot. She's won 3 of her 4 starts so far. Her sole defeat coming when second at Sandown in a listed stakes, but since then she's won the Group 3 Sweet Solera Stakes at Newmarket on the July course. She's taken Group 1 honours at the Curragh, of course, when Ylang failed to put up her best showing in that one in the Moygles Stakes over 7 furlongs. But the fact she's travelled out of the country shows her mental constitution, and thinks she's always best in a final furlong over 7. So a step up in trip to a mile, hopefully for Fallen Angel.
And she's out of that good dam. I think the reason she's called Fallen Angel, she's out of Agnes Stewart, but I think Agnes Stewart might have died foaling this filly, and that's where they've gotten the name Fallen Angel.
Goodness me, the extra insight that Dec gives us.
I hope I'm not wrong on that now, and I haven't just made that up in my head.
You could just have made this up, just had some...
But I never let the truth get in the way of a good story, as they say.
No, exactly, no. We never would let that happen anyway, would we? Sam, you've got a good story to boot with your
No, but I will say Declan picked up on something that I thought was interesting, the fact that he wants a horse that's had a run this season. I would be in agreement, and that's why I came down on Dance Sequence from what we know, waiting for that draw and everything else with the final field. But I wasn't as disappointed as some of our bookmaking competitors pushed her out for this race after the Nell Gwyn. I think she was just beaten by a sort of a slightly probably more ready horse that day. And you go back through, I thought the win in the Osho Sharp Stakes, definitely the manner of the victory was a bit of learning on the job. I think still quite a raw horse. I suppose my one concern would be, given that this race is the Sundays, how dry is it going to get at the track? I do think the action of the horse would suggest perhaps just a little bit of ease would be, as long as we don't get like good to firm, really quick ground. I think she's a big player. I thought 5-1 was very fair in what looks an open renewal where you can make a case for a few of them. Looking forward to the race.
Yeah, definitely. So it's interesting to say about the knee action on her, because I have done a horse-by-horse guide. Nice little plug there for the At The Races website for the 1,000 Guineas, and that was the point I make underneath her paragraph then in there. But do make sure to head to the website if you would like to see the runner-by-runner breakdown, including then with a conclusion at the end. But hopefully one of us has found the winner of the 1,000 Guineas. Right, best bets time for Saturday this time. So, Dec. No, Sam, actually, would you like to kick us off then with your best bets?
Go on then. Let's find a winner or two before we get to Dec's. Beautiful Diamond. We both, Dec and I, really like this horse, and I thought she was very nap-worthy. The 3-year-old getting all that weight from the boys, and there's going to be really interesting. Carl Burke, 25% strike rate at the moment. I'm pretty confident this horse will certainly put her best foot forward, can go well fresh. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how she gets on. Next up, if you're heading to Goodwood either Friday or Saturday, it's pretty heavy going looking at where the turf tracks map at the moment. And I was trying to find a horse in that 205 that's going to really appreciate the ease in the ground. And Orchard Bloom from the William Haggas yard definitely ticks that box. I think you could have a couple of nons in here, but I hope they stay in to give us a bit of a price. This horse definitely's got a bit of class about her. Was just touched off in a similar sort of style contest in France at the end of last season. A winner on soft ground at Newbury. She ticked just plenty of the boxes, and I thought Kieran Fallon had a good chance of a win on that. And then finally, my long shot. I'm clinging on to the jump season, it feels like. Punchestown's been a great week. Big shout out to Paul, who came up and said hello. He's a big fan of the show. And High Wind for me was is going to be a silly price, this horse. I saw his debut win, and I just thought that came in front of the likes of Lark in the Morning, who obviously has gone on to improve. And just, you know, Punchestown, we do get the odd result that's a little bit strange, and I think at around a 33-1, 20-1 kind of price. I thought there was an each-way play on High Wind. Mark Walsh takes the ride. Looking forward to seeing how that horse goes in what's been an interesting week in Ireland.
Yes, and you've done very well then on the jumping front as well in Punchestown as well. But of course, we have got the bet boost. We'll go back to the flat then for your bet boost with Beautiful Diamond. 3-1 now, 7-2 then with BetVictor for Sam Snap being boosted there. What a likeable price. And Dec, no doubt, will be in agreement that that's a likeable one.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because she is included in my best bets this weekend, but she's the next best. She's not the nap. The nap is going to be Rabba in the 145 at Newmarket. A horse trained by Charlie Hills, who's got a really good record with sprinters. Look, this race is full of exposed sprinters, should I say, and this 4-year-old is rated 96. I think that mark is fair, but there just could be so much more to come. I think the gelding operation could be the real key to this horse now. He was always kind of hard on himself as a young horse, probably a little bit hard to train, hard to keep right, but hopefully that gelding operation has settled him down. He's drawn in 14 all around the pace. You know, this could potentially be a pattern sprinter in time, so they're already eyeing up the Wokingham at the Royal Ascot. The next best we've already discussed, Beautiful Diamond. Can I please get some of that 7-2? That would be lovely. Look, the sprinting division, as we've said, in Europe is not in a good place at the moment. This filly is bred to get even better this year. She's got size and substance to improve, and she's going to get the sex allowance and the age allowance for a top team, so she will do for me. And then Hartem, I just think he's brutally overpriced, but I'm going to take my medicine. If City of Troy bolts up and goes on to be a superstar and this lad finishes second, I think it'll be the best result for everyone. I just think his professionalism, his course form, his unexposed nature over the mile and his pedigree, everything about him just suggests he could go really well against the field kind of lesser horses in terms of experience. That Richard Hannon team have been in good order. He's got a run under his belt. So those three will do for me on what is an absolutely outstanding weekend.
Oh, just classics and graded races all over the shop. 16-1 though, Hartem is without City of Troy, so nicely done. But your booster, I mean, you've played a blinder with these boosts. Your next best has been boosted without you even having to do anything. Now your nap has been boosted. Rabba 13-2 to 15-2, so another funky price for you to go at as well then for a boost.
And don't forget, if Declan's selection for whatever reason drifts, it is dynamically priced that you'll get a bit bigger than the drift. So I'm sure it won't, Dec. Don't worry. I'm sure everyone will be going in on it.
I'm sure it will. But
the plunge is on. There you go. So they are Dec's best bets. But now, of course, my own. And I've had to, seeing as I present stateside on a weekly basis, I've had to go for the Kentucky Derby, especially because I pronounce it correctly, apparently, as well, according to Peter Fornatal at Sierra Leone, in the hope that Fierceness fluffs his lines again. But Sierra Leone, he's a very straightforward horse. Hopefully he can defy the curse of stall 2. But, well, hopefully it's not as cursed as Fierceness's draw now all the same. He's likely to get the pace set up to really suit his closing style. Now, my next best is a race we haven't talked about at Goodwood, the listed Conqueror Filly Stakes over a mile, and it's Choicea, another horse similar to El Malca. I'm going in again, who I believe I actually napped Choicea last time out in the listed Snowdrop Stakes at Kempton. It was a sickener. She went widest of all throughout there, only got beaten ahead. Hopefully she gets her chance to run at Goodwood. She's a daughter of Night of Thunder, and they love the soft ground. Now my long shot is going to be Quest for Fun, 9-1. He's actually been shortened in for the Thirsk Hunt Cup. Always got to be careful how you say that. The beads of sweat start forming on my forehead every year for this race, but Quest for Fun it is though in here. I also like Racing Breaks Rider in here, who's a slightly bigger price again, but Quest for Fun though for me all the same, and hopefully then he can prove his stamina over this trip, because that is something that he is going to have to prove. But a really likeable horse yet again then, and hopefully he can revert back to the form that we saw of him last year at the likes of Catterick and York with those 7 furlong wins. 3-1 though to 7-2 for Sierra Leone in the Kentucky Derby. Well done if you're staying up till just before midnight on Saturday to catch that one. But they are all of our best bets for the weekend. So a big thank you to the lads for all of their hard work as per usual. A big thank you to you at home for watching. Best of luck with your bets this weekend. Enjoy the action. It's a classic weekend, but we'll be back at the same time next week to preview Lingfield and Ascot.